is Nathalie. I offer private astrology readings. Prior to becoming an astrologer, I worked as a mental health therapist and worked in the field of mental health for almost 20 years. You guys doing okay? I know we are having the sun now in Aries. So the sun is currently in Aries. We're having a moon in Cancer. So this is kind of a unique time for many of us because there's a lot of pressures or, desires to accomplish things and do things and make things happen, which is very Aries energy. We want to be fearless, we want to be bold, we want to be ambitious, determined, unafraid about pursuing what we know is ours. Aries definitely has that kind of energy, but then Cancer is also a leader, just like Aries. So they're both like restless in terms of wanting results right away. And for Cancer, it's more of like the emotional beating. So for Aries, it's more of the, let's just do it. You need to just do it better, do it faster, do it now. You should have done it yesterday. That's more Aries energy. And for Cancer, it's more like self-inflicted wounds, like more like self-loathing, more self-hatred. It's more about beating oneself emotionally or expressing that restlessness and the feelings that come along with it in a very, emotional and kind of negative way because, unlike Aries, Cancer isn't afraid to just cry about it. All those feelings out of their body, it's just trapped inside. And when feelings are trapped, it's going to show up. That's the thing many people don't realize when we're talking about relationships is that many people are stuck in like old family patterns when it comes to how they do relationships because they still have trapped feelings from family situations that don't even have anything to do with the person they're dating. But they bring the drama, because behaviorally they still remember how to do those toxic things because even when our families are toxic, these are things that we're used to. So Aries, if unevolved and they grew up in an environment where they were not able to emotionally develop, they're going to have, a lot of these traits, but amplified with no self-remorse, no self-awareness, and no desire to do and be different. Setting expectations of yourself that are way beyond what you're comfortable with. And as long as you own your power with regards to your ability to determine what makes you feel comfortable and what does not make you feel comfortable, and you stay true to that, then, that's really the key to success when you're Cancer, basically. So the goal is to respond to the calling to want to do things differently, to respond to the calling to want to be industrious, to be a leader, to be independent, to be fearless, to be a go-getter, and to be somebody that writes their own story and writes their own ticket. So presumably Aries is capable of doing that. But the problem comes when, it's not happening fast enough for Aries. So with the moon being in Cancer right now, I suspect that a lot of people are dealing with a lot of this tension where they want to do good things and they want to do great things and they want to do good work, to be patient with themselves, and they're struggling to love themselves through it and to allow themselves to just kind of slowly, gravitate, make their way through that process. Aries oftentimes assumes that if it doesn't go from 0 to 100 right away, then and sometimes what Cancer knows, who's slightly older than Aries as the next cardinal sign, is that sometimes things go awry. And when they do, we're not supposed to throw the baby out with the bathwater. When they do, it's an opportunity to tweak things, to make changes, to explore new ways to land at success, whatever success is. So Cancer is a lot more comfortable sitting with the mess, and making sense of the chaos. Cancer is actually quite impressive when a high emotional situation is in front of us and somebody needs to respond. Cancer and Capricorn are the best at that, and you would notice those are the father and mother of the zodiac. So
That just sort of comes with that nurturing energy. It's a lot of like hurry up and wait type of energy. Yeah, I have felt overwhelmed all day today because I wear so many hats. Now that I'm working as an entrepreneur, after I left corporate America, I started working for myself. So obviously, this is part of what I do, teach people about astrology and how to use it to maximize the quality of their lives, which is very similar to what I used to do. You know, I was using psychology, now I'm using a blend of psychology and astrology, which I find a lot more fun. And then in addition, I also run a consignment shop where I sell sustainable fashion pieces. It's a whole range. I started by reselling like from my own closet and then just got really into it. So it's like low end to high end, all pre-loved clothing and jewelry. But that's usually what does Cancer in. It's the little things, because it's feeling like your sense of safety is being eroded slowly. The straw that breaks the camel's back. You know what I mean? It's like that last little slash. Like, you could take all the thousands of slashes, but that last one was just the one that left you going, oh my God, I just cannot do any of this. Like, you know what? I'm just not gonna do any of this. So Pisces Mars, the reason why your energy is low is because you're disconnected from the divine. Okay? A Pisces Mars cannot function in this human reality without a connection to divinity. Now, how you define divinity, that's entirely your business. It's not one that I have a stake in or that I have any interest in, to be quite frank. But it is important that you define it for yourself and that you have clarity about what that is for you. For some people, that looks like going to church on Sunday. For some people, that looks like fasting every week at the end of the week on Fridays. For some people, that looks like meditating. For some people, that looks like going for a guided meditation through the woods. Some people like to listen to sound bowls. Some people like to chant to stimulate their chakras and get in energetic alignment. Some people like going to the gym. Some people like art. They like to paint. Some people write poetry. Some people write books, stories. They tell stories. It's up to you how you are giving yourself permission to connect with the other realm. A lot of people don't realize this, but art is a form of spirituality. Anybody who has Pisces in their big six cannot function without being deliberate about taking time to themselves to connect with their true essence. Unlike the rest of us, Pisces knows that this physical body is not real, because in some years it's in the ground somewhere. So what Pisces knows is that this physical representation of who we are is meaningless, because the soul that lives inside of us, that's the part of us that's never dying. That's the part that most people believe goes to another body or another soul or returns to source. So a Pisces who does not cultivate a meaningful relationship with spirit in a way that allows them to deal with the betrayals and the hurts and the pain and the surprises and the avalanches of life that come unprovoked will feel like life is not worth living. Who isn't living with passive suicidal ideation. And for those of you who don't know, just to differentiate and trigger warning, since I am talking about suicide, passive suicidal ideation is, are people who are not necessarily wanting to do things to end their lives, as they more or less are okay to be here. But there are people who, when they imagine a scenario where they're not here, they're all right with that. Like, they can live with it. So I'm not doing anything that is harmful to myself. But if something out there were to happen and I couldn't be here, I would be okay. And so many people have lived with that feeling for so long, they don't even realize that that feeling is a symptom of depression, of a bigger problem. Because it's not normal, it's not healthy to not feel deeply rooted in life. It's not healthy to feel like your life has no meaning or purpose, because surely it does, because you're here among millions, billions, and you're on a galaxy of its own that's like floating in space. Whoever created this galaxy thought you needed to be here, so surely you're important, because that same source created all these beautiful things that we don't even understand and made you. So you're truly valuable. And Pisces sensitivity makes them highly, deeply impacted by the wickedness on earth. Whenever people are ungodly and whenever people are, not loving, that's what ungodly basically means. I know for a lot of people it means different things. But to me, it's someone who isn't loving. You can disagree with someone and still love them. You can see things from a different point of view and still love and respect the humanity of a human being. But for some people, if they don't agree with you, your humanity stops to exist, because they only considered you human as long as you were reflecting who they are to themselves. Do you hear me? So it's not even about you. They expect you to reflect them to themselves. They expect you to mirror them. So when your existence doesn't mirror who they intrinsically are, they are disturbed by that. They're bothered by that. And several areas in our society where people vehemently are against this idea of respecting other people's humanity simply because they don't share their opinion. They believe that someone not reflecting their opinion back to them automatically means this person is deemed unworthy of humanity, respect, protection, and all of that. And Pisces is so close to God in purity, in essence. They're so raw, so unprotected from all of this callousness that goes on, that whenever they get impacted, when they get hit with that kind of energy, it makes them feel very, very upset inside. Because to Pisces, it could all be so simple. We could all just simply love each other. Like, why is that so difficult? So I say this all the time, and I don't mind repeating it. For those people that are concerned with like sin and what's a sin and what isn't a sin, for me, a sin is knowing what's right and still choosing to do the wrong thing. Okay? And I say that because I think the source that made us has an expectation of behaviors from us. I mean, let's face it, parents have an expectation of behavior from their children. Why would our creator not have an expectation from us? So if you made a machine, let's say that we're machines, right? And then God is the architect, the electrical engineer. You mean to tell me that God made the machines without coding? Every machine has a code in it, and the code tells it what to do. All of us are wired with a specific purpose. And for Pisces, because you're the oldest, you're supposed to be wiser, because you've lived all these lives. And this is why love comes so easy for you, is because you can see yourself in all these lives, because you've lived them. So you're totally unfazed by all of it. And this is why when people do some of the worst thing to Pisces, they just go, well, that's life. And for the rest of us, it's so like, are you kidding me? You're just gonna let that slide? And it's not necessarily that Pisces is letting it slide. They just don't believe in like worthless battles. They don't believe in chaos for the sake of chaos. They just want to be left in peace. Think about that for a minute. This is the world in which we live. With these kinds of humans, if this is how humans think and humans behave, what do you expect from Pisces? You shouldn't be surprised when Pisces does not, want to socialize, because that's not how Pisces is wired. Pisces can even think of a world like this, where you actually have a choice to give love, and it costs you nothing to be kind, to be polite, to be generous, to be warm, to brighten somebody's day, and you purposely choose to do the opposite to ruin their day. Pisces can't even think about that being a reality.